Hello everybody, welcome to the Ancient Greek Theater and Western Drama PowerPoint. This PowerPoint is in preparation for the Greek tragedy we're going to read entitled Antigone. And just very quickly looking at this here, if you remember back from the Odyssey, you might have heard the name Oedipus before. Well, this is Oedipus. She is the father of Antigone, who is the main character in our play we're going to be reading. This is a very famous scene where Oedipus comes to the crossroads, and in order to cross into the city, he's got to solve the riddle of the Sphinx. And as you can see, he's naked. Nudity was a huge part of Greek culture. And you can also see some skeletal remains down here, and those would be the remains of people that could not successfully solve the riddle of the Sphinx. So that is a very famous picture. Okay, moving on. Roman numeral 1, Ancient Greek Theater. You have to remember, this is the only thing that people really had to do back in the 500 BC, 534 BC to be exact. You went to your local Greek theater and you watched the production. People were very passionate about their acting. They wouldn't, of course, they're acting, they're not going to kill anybody, but they were very passionate. If there was a fight scene, they would draw blood. They would try to involve audience members as much as they could. But what they would actually focus on in their acting would be violence, social issues, war, betrayal, and lust. Nudity, sex, lust, things like that was viewed very differently than how we view it today. It was a very common practice. It was something that was discussed openly. Okay, Roman numeral 2. The first definite record of drama, in Greece, 534 BC. So we're talking no electricity. Their theaters are built on hillsides made out of stone. Roman numeral 3. The city of Dionysia was reorganized. You might remember talking about the god Dionysus last year. So there's a whole city named after him and in honor of him. So it was reorganized. And when it was reorganized, letter A, they would hold a contest for the best tragedy. So this is where the whole concept and idea of people being on stage performing for an audience was created. So if you're an actor, if you've been in plays, musicals, you saw a show on Broadway, this all began, that whole concept began because of Dionysus. So when that city was reorganized, so they started having the acting. So the winner of this first contest was a person by the name of Thespis. So now he is known as the father of drama for being the first contest winner. Much like today, we give awards to actors for best dramas, best movies, best supporting actress, best actor, whatever. And so, as a result of that, actors today are known as thespians in honor of the first Greek actor Thespis. So even here at the high school, we have the Thespian Society, just like we have the National Honor Society, things like that. Roman numeral 4, here he is, Dionysus. So in the city of Dionysia, they would have this festival every year, honoring him. He was the god of wine and fertility. Plays were performed for him. So the idea of getting up on stage, performing for an audience, initially started for performance for him. People wanted to impress him. They believed if they could, they'd be blessed with fertility and all kinds of things. And see, he was responsible for creating the concept, as I said, of performing on stage. Roman numeral 5, types of ancient Greek plays. Of course, we have comedies and tragedies. This is a very famous theater that still exists today in Athens, Greece. You can see a little tourist down there. So tragedy is derived from the word tragos, meaning goat, which is kind of odd. But, letter B, a tragedy had actors that wore goat skins, and then those best performers were given a kid goat as a prize. So a baby goat is called a kid, and those performers that would perform for Dionysus, they were performing for a baby goat. And this was, what they had. You would exchange things like this, your livestock, and that was a big deal. Roman numeral 6, their costumes. You have to remember those Greek theaters are built very, very tall. So if you are in the very last row, the people on stage are going to look itsy bitsy. So these costumes had to be very, very, very elaborate. So A, they were very symbolic. They would show if you were rich, poor, happy, sad, whatever. B, all actors were male. If it called for a female part, you would be a male dressed as a female. They would wear wooden shoes with high heels, again, because if I'm in the last row, I need to be able to see you, and heels are going to make you look taller. They wore long robes with vertical stripes. Again, vertical stripes are going to give you an elongated appearance, make you look taller. And female masks had elaborated mouths and eyes. You can see this is a very beautiful mask here. Almost looks like a Mardi Gras mask, but still very elaborate and intricate. Roman numeral 7, the Greek masks. Again, they were personalized for each character. So if you were happy, sad, rich, poor, your mask would be made just so. And they were extremely elaborate. So even those, as I said, in the last rows can see them. So a lot of times today we focus on our actors on stage having, perfect makeup, elaborate makeup to make them stand out. Well, back during Greek times, the masks would do that job. The chorus. So we are in a time with no electricity. Their theaters are outside. We don't have curtains that are opening and closing, letting the audience know that it's the end of an act or end of a scene. But what the Greeks had was the chorus. And you can see how they come out on stage lined up just so in a V formation. So they were crucial to the Greek stage and the production. B, their function was to narrate and reflect on the action. In other words, they would come out before the act and kind of give the audience a summary of those things that they need to know before it starts. Much like when you read a book, sometimes there's a prologue, like the story before the story. And then after the act, that's how we knew that the act was over, the scene was over. The chorus would come back out and they would kind of summarize and recap, and they would even interject their opinions. Letter C, without them, the audience would be confused and would have limited background information. And D, the playwright Sophocles, who is, again, an author of a play, is called a playwright. He is the playwright of our upcoming drama, Antigone. He added 3 more to the chorus to make it 15 total chorus members. And think back to that little V formation, the choragus. He was the point guy, kind of the leader or like the captain of the chorus. So while the chorus, they were not actors. While the actors performed, the chorus would be off stage. So even though they're not actors, they would still interject while the actors were acting and give their opinions, even though this is all just acting. But that is how hardcore they were. This is what they lived and died for. The Greek theater structure, you can see this theater that still exists today. Think how high that is. Many, many people died when they were building these. You can see stone, very small railings, very easy to lose your footing and fall. You can see the stage down here. So you can understand why the actors had to look as big and elaborate as they could so the people way up here can see them. So some theaters held up to 20,000 spectators. They were amphitheaters. They were built on hillsides, which was clever because then you have the echo. Again, remember, we don't have microphones and electricity. C, they were originally wooden structures, later made into stone. Obviously, stone's going to last longer. And the different parts. Roman numeral 11. The orchestra, as you can see, right in the middle. It's not like we think of today like an orchestra pit, where the musicians would be. So the orchestra is the circular acting space. The Thymiele, this is an altar stone at the center of the orchestra. Remember, this all started, the whole idea started with acting because of Dionysus. So there's a little altar stone. You can kind of draw that in on your note sheet right here. I don't have it in there, but so just a little square altar stone, again, honoring Dionysus, right in the middle of the orchestra here. 3, theatron, looks like theater. This is where our spectators would sit. Number 4, the skene. As you can see, this is like backstage where the actors would hang out, change costumes, change masks, etc. And then the parados. You can see there's one on each side. We get the word parade from parados, which makes sense because this is where they parade in to the stage and off stage. So entry, exit ramps for the chorus. Remember, they're always hanging out on the sides, ready to come on stage to recap or give some info to the audience. This is just a quick picture. You don't need to write anything. You can see very, very old. So this would be our orchestra, our theatron, our theater where spectators would sit, our skene, but here backstage. Preceding, of course, if you were somebody special or important, you'd get a little bit more comfier chair, front row seats. And Sophocles, again, our playwright or author of Antigone. He was considered the greatest Greek dramatist. He wrote tragedies. He created the idea of multiple actors on stage, which is a big deal because think about it. Initially, people that would perform for Dionysus, like Thespis, who won the award for the best performance, the father of drama. Think about the difference between one actor on stage versus many actors. Now you can have protagonists, antagonists. You can have conflict. You can have action, fight scenes. just different things like that. So the idea of multiple actors now on stage is because of Sophocles. And as I said, he wrote Antigone. All right, we'll stop here. We are not at the Iliad yet. That's later on. And as you can see on your sheet, I'm asking you to, hold on, go ahead and scroll all the way to slide 26. You can see there are some additional terms I'm asking you to write the definitions down for, a lot of which you might have talked about with the Odyssey. But just go ahead and jot down those definitions to serve as a nice review.